So good evening guys, this is the part 2 of your anemias. And let's continue our lecture with macrocytic anemia. Then tomorrow, I will send the recorded lecture for normocytic anemias. Okay. Now, when you say macrocytic anemia, yan, putol na naman guys, sorry. You have anemia, and then ang ipinapakitang picture sa'yo ng peripheral blood smear, MCB, is that yung mga RBC, in terms of their sizes, masyadong malalaki. Specifically, if you are basing on MCB, that's more than 100 femtoliters. How about the MCH? Guys, mababa din ang MCH, no, ng mga taong may macrocytic anemia. In terms of MCHC, normally guys, normal lang MCHC ng mga taong may macrocytic anemia. That's why in macrocytic anemia, usually ang coloration yan is normocytic, no? That's macrocytic. Sorry guys, normochromic to be corrected. That's macrocytic normochromic. RBC. Yan ang mga nakikita mong RBC guys ha, when you have macrocytic anemia. Okay, now this can be divided into two types. We have your megaloblastic anemia and you also have your non-megaloblastic anemia. Importante po ba siya? Yes, importante siya. Kasi magkaiba sila ng associated condition, guys. No? Magkaiba din sila ng causes. Different diagnosis. So, therefore, different din ang approach in terms of the treatment. Kaya dapat, ma-differentiate mo silang dalawa. Okay? Although, nabanggit ko na naman to, no, with RBC abnormalities. Pero, i-recall natin ulit sila. Okay. Ang pinagkapareho lang nila, guys, is that yung mga RBC na meron sila, lagpas 100 femtoliter. Kaya, they are considered as macrocytic. However, sobrang dami nilang pinagkaiba. Okay, unahin muna natin yung pinagkaiba nila in terms of the cause. Okay. For megaloblastic anemia, guys, it's actually caused by impaired DNA synthesis. No? May problema sa DNA metabolism, may problema sa paggawa ng tinatawag na TTP, no? Ito ang problema guys, itong TTP na to, no? Hindi to magawa-gawa in megaloblastic anemia. No? Sir, bakit hindi magawa si TTP? By the way, si TTP is your thymidine triphosphate. Okay, that's your thymidine triphosphate. Ito importante to for DNA synthesis. Okay, anong mga cause? Baka si patient merong vitamin B12 deficiency or si pasyente merong folate deficiency. No? Folate is your vitamin B9, guys. Ayan, these are 4 conditions na dapat tandaan nyo, ha? Myelodysplasia and even erythroleukemia. No? Okay. So, basically, lahat ng dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ka ng abnormal nuclear maturation can cause megaloblastic anemia. Tandaan nyo, ha, isa pa, in megaloblastic anemia, lahat ng blood cell apektado. No? Lahat ng blood cell dito mababa. Si RBC, apektado. Si WBC, apektado. Si platelets, apektado. Okay? However, with non-megaloblastic anemia, guys, ang naging problema lang dito is that nasira yung normal distribution ng cholesterol to phospholipid. sa mismong RBC membrane. Ang problema lang po in non-megaloblastic anemia is yung mismong RBC. Nasisira yung RBC membrane dahil sobrang daming cholesterol yung pumapasok sa kanila. Ngayon, bakit sobrang dami ng cholesterol na pumasok? Kasi there is cholesterol imbalances. Nagkaroon ng cholesterol imbalances kasi yung mismong liver na dapat magpa-process sa cholesterol is nasisira. Okay, bakit nasira si liver? Pwedeng si patient merong liver cirrhosis. Okay, what else? Chronic alcoholism. Kasi guys, yung mga cholesterol na yan, dapat napaprocess yan sa liver. No, alam nyo ba yun? And then, from the liver, siya na yung magdidistribute ng mismong fatty acids kung ano mang organ yung mangangailangan. Okay? However, kapag nasira si liver, hindi niya na yun magagawa. Kaya ibang cholesterol, kumakalat na lang sa iba't ibang parte ng katawan ni patient. And that's the thing with non-megaloblastic anemia. Okay? This is actually due to the disruption of cholesterol to phospholipid ratio. And sino lang inaapektuhan? RBC. However, with megaloblastic anemia, abnormal DNA synthesis leads to abnormal nuclear maturation. Sino ang apektado? RBC, WBC, and platelets. Okay? Okay, ayun yung difference nila. Isa pa sa mga difference nila is that in megaloblastic anemia, usually, there is a presence of this RBC megaloblast sa bone marrow, guys, no? If you do a bone marrow smear, makakita ka ng RBC megaloblast. However, with non-megaloblastic anemia, there is no RBC megaloblast. Okay? O ano pa yung mga pwede mong i-consider? With megaloblastic anemia, guys, ito yung madami kang makikita na poikilocyte and inclusion bodies. Okay? For megaloblastic anemia, pwede kang makakita ng macroovalocyte. Okay? Aside from that, pwede ka rin makakita ng Howell-Jolly bodies. And pwede ka rin makakita actually ng Cabot-Reeves, no? When you have megaloblastic anemia. Okay, for non-megaloblastic anemia, ang description ng RBC na napuproduce niya is rounded macrocytes. Okay, konting recall na lang tayo, no? Kasi nabanggit na natin to nung RBC abnormality. So, nire-recall ko na lang kayo. Okay, for megaloblastic anemia, guys, ganito yung itsura. Ayan, macroovalocytes. Mukha siyang itlog, guys. For non-megaloblastic anemia, rounded macrocytes. Okay? Kung mapapansin nyo, guys, mas malaki si macroovalocytes. Tama naman po, no? Kasi alam nyo ba, based on the book of Rodax, ang isang macroovalocytes na dahil sa impaired DNA synthesis or abnormal nuclear maturation, pwede yung umabot ng hanggang 150 femtoliter. Samantalang ang isang rounded macrocyte, guys, nagre-range lang yan ng 110 to 115 femtoliter. Ang alin? Ang MCB, guys. Okay? How about the RDW of these two conditions? Guys, ang RDW neto mataas. Okay? Bakit mataas ang RDW? Kasi may anisocytosis. May anisocytosis ba, sir? Yes, may anisocytosis. Ang lalaki nito. 'Di ba? When you say anisocytosis, that's a variation in cell size. So therefore, mataas daw si RDW kapag may mali sa cell size. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Mataas si RDW kapag may microcytosis, mataas din si RDW kapag may macrocytosis. Okay? Okay. Now, nasa na tayo, no? Ang dami na pala nating nasulat. But anyway, ayan, tandaan nyo to. Aplastic anemia, chronic liver disease, alcoholism for non-megaloblastic anemia. Okay, so picturean muna or you take a screenshot before we move on. Okay, kung na-picturean na, let's move on to the next slide. First off would be your megaloblastic anemia. Okay, ngayon ano naging problema in megaloblastic anemia? Sorry. Naputol na naman yung slides natin. Okay. Now, this actually due to the deficiency of your TTP. Ito yung nabanggit natin kanina. TTP na to. Thymidine triphosphate. No? Kasi guys, para makagawa ka ng thymidine triphosphate, kailangan mo actually ng methyl group. No? Kailangan mo ng magta-transfer ng methyl group. Ngayon, anong methyl group? Sorry. To be specific guys, ano yung magta-transfer ng methyl group? Vitamin B9 or folate. Okay, ano yung cofactor niya? Si vitamin B12. Okay, vitamin B12 yung cofactor. Now, in the absence of vitamin B9 and in the absence of your vitamin B12, walang thymidine triphosphate na nabubuo. Kapag walang thymidine triphosphate ang mabuo, ang nabubuo po is the deoxyuridine triphosphate. Okay? Deoxyuridine triphosphate. Now, the formation of deoxyuridine triphosphate will lead to nuclear fragmentation and impaired cell division. Oh, ayan. Nuclear fragmentation and impaired cell division. Okay. Eh sir, bakit malalaki ang RBC in megaloblastic anemia? Okay, kasi nga abnormal yung nuclear maturation. The point is that masyadong mabagal mag-mature yung pinaka-nucleus. Okay? To the point na nauunahan siya ng cytoplasmic maturation. So, pakitandaan guys, ang abnormal is the DNA. However, ang RNA mo, which is responsible for the maturation of cytoplasm, is normal. Kapag nangyari yun guys, naiiwan yung nucleus and lumalaki yung pinaka-RBC mo. So therefore, nagkakaroon ka ngayon ng RBC megaloblast. Okay, kasi ang bagal ng nucleus, nauunahan siya ng nauunahan ni cytoplasm. Okay? Actually, ayun yung point, no? And alam nyo ba na within the bone marrow pa lang, etong mga RBC na to, mabilis na silang nagpuputukan. Yes, pwede silang makawala. However, most of them, sa bone marrow pa lang, pumuputok na. Okay? Okay. Ngayon, sabi ko nga sa inyo, hindi lang RBC ang problema. Kasi ang naapektuhan ng megaloblastic anemia is nucleus. Eh, hindi lang naman si RBC ang may nucleus. Hindi lang naman si RBC ang nangangailangan ng DNA. So therefore, pati si WBC guys, apektado. And isa sa mga pathognomonic sign when you have megaloblastic anemia is yung tinatawag na hypersegmented neutrophil, no? Pathognomonic sign. Anong pathognomonic sign? Hypersegmented neutrophil. When you say pathognomonic guys, kapag nakita mo yung sign na yon or yung substance na yon or yung cell na yon sa isang tao, you can actually confirm na yung taong yon may ganito na specific na sakit. Okay? Pathognomonic, confirmatory, definitive. Ang pathognomonic sign po ng megaloblastic anemia is the presence of hypersegmented neutrophil. Mga neutrophil kung saan madami silang lobules, no? Instead of having 3 to 5 guys, ang lobules nila is more than 6 lobules. Okay, bakit dumami yung ganyan? Bakit dumami ng ganyan yung lobules? Eh abnormal nga kasi yung nuclear maturation. ang bagal ng nuclear maturation. Kung mabagal ang nuclear maturation, guys, dumadami yung thin filaments na nagse-separate sa mga lobules ng isang neutrophil. Okay? Okay. Aside from that, guys, apektado din po yung mismong platelets. Kung mapapansin nyo, there is production of giant platelets. Ang platelets mo dito konti. There is thrombocytopenia, however, malalaki sila. No? Ang bagal ng maturation, kaya yung mga platelets, wala nang time para magsiliitan pa. Although yung mga platelets naman, fragments lang naman yan ng megakaryocyte, pero masyadong malaki yung pagkakahati sa kanila. Okay? Ngayon, kung mapapansin nyo, macrocytic anemia is associated with pancytopenia. When you say pancytopenia, mababa ang RBC, mababa ang WBC, mababa ang platelets. Kasi sa loob pa lang ng bone marrow, guys, pwede nang masira yung mga yan. Okay? Particularly RBC and WBC. Pwede na yung mag-undergo ng apoptosis. Apoptosis, guys, is yung tinatawag na programmed cell death. Apoptosis. Okay? Tandaan nyo ha, it's actually one of the classic signs of your megaloblastic anemia. Pancytopenia. Literal na mababa lahat ng blood cell. Tatandaan nyo yun kasi minsan yung mga estudyante nakakalimutan yun. Okay? Okay, o picturean muna. Kung may hypersegmented neutrophil, may hyposegmented ba? Yes, may hyposegmented, no? And yung hyposegmented na yan, mag-aaralan natin yan sa finals. Pero ang mga causes naman kasi ng hyposegmented neutrophil is more of leukemic disease na, guys. Or intake of certain drugs. Yan, pwede rin mag-cause ng hyposegmented neutrophil yan. Okay, let's move on. First would be your folate deficiency. No, deficiency yan, guys, ha, naputol lang, I'm sorry. Folate deficiency. Okay, isa sa mga nagkakos kung bakit si pasyente nagkakaroon ng megaloblastic anemia. Okay, kulang sila sa vitamin B9. Unang-una, baka naman si patient hindi talaga kumakain ng mga gulay or green leafy vegetable, no? Kasi yan ang mayaman sa vitamin B12, guys, eh, yung mga green leafy vegetable na yan. Okay? Inadequate intake. And alam nyo ba, guys, na yung folate na yan, these are actually heat labile. No? Madali silang masira kapag masyadong mainit yung temperatura. That's why most of our vegetable, no, it is advised na hina-half cook lang sila para at least hindi masira yung mga important vitamins such as folate. Nasisira si folate, eh. Pangalawa, kapag may increased demand, no, parang iron deficiency anemia lang, during pregnancy, lactation, and periods of growth. Puberty, di ba? Nabanggit natin kanina. Puberty. Pangatlo, when you have impaired absorption with folate. No? Hindi mo ma-absorb si folate. Nakakain ka nga ng folate, however, hindi mo siya ma-absorb. Yung sa mga pinakasikat na sakit is yung tinatawag na celiac disease. No? When you say celiac disease, guys, you have sensitivity with gluten. Gluten-induced enteropathy. Wherein, once na kumain ka ng pagkain na may gluten, nagkakaroon ng reaction with your intestine, and then, yung intestine mo, guys, namamaga. No? Kaya nahihirapan kang mag-reabsorb ng maraming folate or ng madaming vitamin B9. Okay? or there is an impaired use of folate. Common to guys, no, kapag nagte-take ka ng metformin. Metformin is gamot sa diabetes. Or if you are undergoing chemotherapy. Ayun pa pala guys, no, yung mga nag-undergo ng chemotherapy, they tend to develop folate deficiency. Particularly yung tinatawag na methotrexate. Yung methotrexate na yan, these are actually immunosuppressive drug. Nagpapahina ng immune system yan. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, ayan o, anti-arthritis and chemotherapeutic agent. Or there is excessive loss of folate. Lalo na kapag nagda-dialysis si pasyente, no? Literal na nakukuha ng dialysis yung mga important vitamins, no? Ma-share ko lang sa inyo, ha. Ang nakukuha ng dialysis is yung mga water-soluble vitamins. Yan, si vitamin B9, nakukuha yan ng dialysis. Saka yung mga micromolecule. Nalilinis sila. Diba yung dugo nililinis? O ayun, pati yung folate na dadala sa paglinis, no? Pati yung mga water-soluble vitamins na yan. Okay. So that's vitamin B9 deficiency or folate deficiency. Now, next would be vitamin B12 deficiency. Okay. However, for us to appreciate itong mga causes na to, dapat alam natin kung paano nare-reabsorb ang vitamin B12 sa loob ng katawan ni patient, no? So, wait lang guys. Dito natin i-drawing. Dito natin simulan. Paano pa nare-reabsorb yung vitamin B12 na yan? Sorry, no, medyo pagod na yung boses ko. Buong araw akong nag-lecture ngayong Sabado. No? So, ayan. Kain natin to guys. Okay. Now, pagkakain mo ng mismong pagkain na mayaman sa vitamin B12, ang nangyayari is that, syempre, mapupunta yan sa stomach mo, no? You have your food with vitamin B12. Kailangan ma-separate yan, guys. Okay, yung pagkain na may vitamin B12. Paano siya ma-separate? Isa-separate siya, guys, ni hydrochloric acid. Okay? Yung hydrochloric acid mo, guys, ipuproduce yan ni parietal cell. By the way, ha, parietal cell produces hydrochloric acid and it also produces intrinsic factor. Okay? Sinong mag-uutos kay parietal cell na mag-produce ng hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor? Uutusan siya, guys, ni gastrin. Kanino nang galing si gastrin? Kay G cells. Okay, so si G cells, magpuproduce siya ng gastrin, uutusan niya si parietal cell na mag-produce ng hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. Ang gagawin ni hydrochloric acid, guys, paghihiwalay niya yung food saka yung vitamin B12 para makawala, guys, si vitamin B12. Okay? Once na makawala si vitamin B12, hindi po siya pwedeng ma-expose sa acid na meron yung stomach kasi masisira si vitamin B12. So therefore, dapat mapatungan siya ni R factor, no? R factor is otherwise known as your haptocorrin. Okay? Susunduin ni R factor si vitamin B12. Kasi ang function is that your R factor protects your vitamin B12 from gastric acidity. Okay. Now, ang mangyayari after nyan, is that dadalhin ni R factor si vitamin B12 sa small intestine, and then sa small intestine si vitamin B12 and si R factor paghihiwalayin sila ni sino? Trypsin. Trypsin is an enzyme. Saan nanggaling si trypsin? Si trypsin nanggaling siya sa pancreatic juices. Okay? And then once na mapaghiwalay ni trypsin si vitamin B12 and R factor, no? The correct term is that your trypsin dissociates vitamin B12 and R factor. Okay, yan ang gagawin ni trypsin. Si vitamin B12, ayan, nasa small intestine na. Ngayon, from the small intestine, guys, paano siya ngayon makakarating ng circulation? Tutulungan siya ngayon ni intrinsic factor, guys. Okay? Vitamin B12 plus intrinsic factor. Ang gagawin ng intrinsic factor, guys, dadaling niya si vitamin B12 papuntang circulation. Okay? So, that's how your vitamin B12 reabsorb. O, ulitin natin, ha? Okay. Si G-cell, magpuproduce siya ng gastrin, and then si gastrin, uutusan niya si parietal cell na magproduce ng hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. Okay? Ang gagawin ni hydrochloric acid, paghihiwalay niya yung pagkain sa yung vitamin B12. Pag nakalabas si vitamin B12, sasamahan siya ni R factor sa stomach kasi hindi kaya ni vitamin B12 yung acidity ng stomach. So, ihahatid ni R factor si vitamin B12 papuntang small intestine. Sa small intestine, guys, paghihiwalayin ni trypsin si vitamin B12 and si R factor. Okay? And then after mapaghiwalay ni trypsin si vitamin B12 and R factor, si vitamin B12 through the help of your intrinsic factor na pinroduce kanina ni parietal cell is that dadali ni intrinsic factor si vitamin B12 papunta sa circulation. Okay? So, that's how we reabsorb our vitamin B12. So, ang punto, guys, makinig mabuti, lahat ng factor na nakakaapekto sa process na to, okay, lahat ng factors na humaharang dito can give you vitamin B12 deficiency. Diba sobrang dami niyan? Isa lang dito ang maharangan mo. O for example, wala kang trypsin, walang maghihiwalay ng vitamin B12 kay R factor, pwede ka na agad magkaroon ng vitamin B12 deficiency. However, isa-isahin natin yung mga nasa taas, no? Ayan, yung mga nasa taas na cause. Unang-una, failure to separate vitamin B12 from foods. Ayan, no? Hindi mo daw ma-separate to. Nangyayari lang naman yan kapag kulang si hydrochloric acid. Okay? When you have hypochlorhydria. When you say hypochlorhydria, guys, masyadong mababa yung hydrochloric acid. Okay? Mababa lang ang hydrochloric acid, guys, kapag nasisira si parietal cell. Kailan ba nasisira si parietal cell? Kapag meron kang presence ng anti-parietal cell. Saan nakikita si anti-parietal cell? In cases of pernicious anemia. Diba? Pernicious anemia is an autoimmune disease wherein ang tinitira niya is yung parietal cell na nagpuproduce ng hydrochloric acid and intrinsic factor. So, when you have pernicious anemia, wala ka nang hydrochloric acid, wala ka pang intrinsic factor. E di talagang hindi ka makakapag-reabsorb ng vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 deficiency. Okay? Pangalawang scenario, guys, if you have chronic pancreatitic disease, walang mapuproduce na pancreatic juices. So therefore, kung walang pancreatic juices, walang trypsin. Kung walang trypsin, walang maghihiwalay ng vitamin B12 and R factor. Kapag hindi mo sila napaghiwalay, edi itatae mo sila as complex. Itatae mo yung buong yan. Hindi mo naman mare-reabsorb yung buong yan eh. Okay? Kapag tinae mo yung buong yan, wala ka na absorb na vitamin B12, vitamin B12 deficiency. Okay? Malabsorption, wherein normal naman lahat ng process na to, pero hindi mo ma-absorb yung mismong vitamin B12. Ayun ulit, no? Celiac disease. Yung example natin kanina. Okay? Mga inherited errors, guys, of vitamin B12 absorption, pwede rin. And if there is a competition for vitamin B12, particularly if you have infection with Dipilobotrium latum, no? Dipilobotrium latum, nakukuha to sa pagkain ng isda. No? By the way, your D latum is your false tapeworm. Nag-iisa lang naman ng false tapeworm eh. Or sorry, no? Nag-iisa lang naman ng sikat na false tapeworm. And that's your D latum. Dipilobotrium latum. Paano ka nawawalan ng vitamin B12? When you have D-latum infection. Si D-latum nakikipag-unahan kay vitamin B12. Ikaw sana yung makakuha ng vitamin B12, pero inaagawan ka ni D-latum. No? So basically, si D-latum yung kaagaw mo. Parang siya yung kabit ng boyfriend or girlfriend mo. Ayan, si D-latum. Yung vitamin B12, yung boyfriend or girlfriend mo, guys. Anyway, corny, no? Corny. Ayan. If you lack intrinsic factor, no, in case of pernicious anemia, Helicobacter pylori infection. Guys, in H. pylori infection, the problem with H. pylori infection is that, alam nyo bang it can cause ulcer? Kaya yung mga ulcer nyo, guys, hindi dapat tinitiis yan, ha? Kasi yung ulcer na kinos na H. pylori, pwede yung mag-lead into cancer, no? Gastric cancer. Yung mga sugat na yan sa stomach nyo, pwedeng mag-lead yan into cancer, guys. No? Kaya ipacheck nyo na yan agad, no? Kapag lagi nang sumasakit. Okay? If you undergo total or partial gastrectomy, tinanggal yung pinaka-stomach nyo, guys, edi mawawala na kayo ng parietal cell, diba? No, sinasabi ko, pernicious anemia. Wala ka ng hydrochloric acid, wala ka pang intrinsic factor, no? By the way, ang pangalan ng antibodies dyan is anti-parietal cell, otherwise known as your anti-intrinsic factor. Let's move on. These are other types of megaloblastic anemia. However, mga minor na lang to, guys, no? Ang major cause kasi ng megaloblastic anemia is the vitamin B12 and vitamin B9 deficiency, no? Myelodysplastic AML, particularly the M6 type, no? Para sa mga naghima na last time, this is your de Guglielmo disease or de Guglielmo syndrome, no? Yung mga pasyente dyan, pwede rin merong megaloblastic anemia. And you have your CDA. However, with CDA kasi, it's more of refractory anemia, no? Pag-aaral natin to ngayong finals. Okay? Now, we have 3 types of your CDA, and yung 3 types na yon, nadi-differentiate sila depende sa itsura ng mismong RBC. O, yun na lang yung tatandaan nyo. Depende sa itsura ng mismong RBC. Unang-una, you have your type 1 CDA. Mga minor cause na lang to, guys, ha? Huwag na masyadong problemahin yan. Okay? We have your type 1 CDA. Now, with type 1 CDA, guys, it has this mild macrocytosis. Pinakamaliit among the 3. Okay? Okay. It is also positive with your Fulgen stain or Fulgen reaction. And there is a presence of this internuclear chromatin. Okay? That's type 1 CDA. Now, with type 2 CDA, guys, ito yung most common type. O, ito pala, nakalagay na. No? Other name is your HEMPAS. Now, what's our takeaway with type 2 CDA? Ito yung nagpa-positive with your acidified serum test. HAMS test. Ito, nakasulat na. Okay. And with your type 3, guys, actually, ito ang pinakamalaki among the 3 types. Yung type 3. The type 3 CDA. This characterized having the presence of this gigantoblast. Pero CDA is more of refractory anemia na. Medyo malayo-layo na yan. More of that on your finals. Excuse me. Oh, ayan. Now, these are the common clinical findings if the patient has megaloblastic anemia. Weakness and shortness of breath. More of gastrointestinal symptoms, guys. No? Yung nararamdaman ni pasyente. Numbness of the fingers, no? Yung tusok-tusok. Kaya nga, 'di ba, kung si pasyente nakakaramdam ng tusok-tusok, isa sa mga ibinibigay na reseta ni doctor is yung vitamin B12 complex. Kasi yung not vitamin B12 complex, ha. Vitamin B complex. No? Kasi yung vitamin B complex na yan, tumutulong yan sa CNS and even sa PNS, no? Sa mga nerve cells, guys. Actually, sa mga nagre-review, effective din ang vitamin B complex. However, if the patient has severe vitamin B12 deficiency, pwede siyang mag-lead into megaloblastic madness. Literal na pagkalungkot. Kapag sobrang kulang na si pasyente ng vitamin B12. Achlorhydria, guys. Literal na wala ng hydrochloric acid. Now, what are the common laboratory findings? Bumababang hemoglobin pero hindi ganun ka-prominent. There is giant platelets. There is pancytopenia, sabi ko nga. Reticulocytopenia, guys, yes, mababa pa rin ang reticulocyte. Kasi hindi naman siya klase ng hemolytic anemia, 'di ba? Of course, increased MCB, normal MCHC, the presence of this macroovalocyte, and the pathognomonic sign, hypersegmented neutrophil. Okay. Ngayon, kung base ka naman sa clinical chemistry, literal na mataas ang bilirubin and LDH, no? Indication that there is ongoing hemolysis. Kasi sometimes, guys, yung mga megaloblast, nakakatakas yan sa bone marrow, no? Yung iba sa kanila, pumuputok na sa bone marrow. Yung iba sa kanila, pumuputok sa mismong blood vessel. Okay, pag pumutok yun sa mismong blood vessel, lalabas sila bilirubin and si LDH. Kaya tumataas si bilirubin, tumataas si LDH, no? Particularly the LDH 1 and 2. Diba? O konting recall, guys, para sa mga nag-CC2. Diba? Highest elevation of LDH are seen in pernicious anemia or megaloblastic anemia, di ba? Highest elevation of LDH. Oh. Dapat nare-recall nyo pa yan. Recall question sa board exam yan. Now, to confirm, pwede kang maghanap ng mga megaloblast sa mismong bone marrow. Especially in the polychromatic normoblast stage, no? Kasi sa polychromatic normoblast stage na yan, dyan na magiging prominent yung pagbabago ng sizes ng RBC. Diba dapat ang isang RBC, lumiliit sila ng lumiliit. Pero with megaloblastic guys, yung pinakamalaking stage niya, yung pinakamalaking pagbabago sa mismong sizes, mas makikita mo sa polychromatic normoblast, no? If the patient has megaloblastic anemia. Yung pinakamalaking pagbabago sa size, no? Ayan. It's 10:38 PM. No? Kanina pa akong alas 7 ng umaga nagsasalita. So, ayan. But anyway, we have special diagnostic tests for megaloblastic anemia. You have your Schilling's test na tinatawag. With Schilling's test guys, papainumin mo si pasyente dyan ng radioactive vitamin B12. No? Now, how do you interpret your Schilling's test? No? If the patient are capable of absorbing vitamin B12, for example na lang, si pasyente normal, na-absorb niya si vitamin B12, dapat yung pinainom mo na radioactive vitamin B12, mababa siya sa ihi. No? Decrease in urine. Okay? E paano kapag si pasyente merong megaloblastic anemia or si pasyente merong impaired absorption with vitamin B12? Kapag si patient may impaired absorption with vitamin B12, hindi niya ma-absorb si vitamin B12, yung pinainom mo na radioactive vitamin B12, mataas siya ngayon sa urine. Okay? O ayan, that's how you interpret your Schilling's test. No? You can also do gastric analysis just to confirm kung meron bang enough acid na magbe-breakdown tong mismong pagkain para lumabas si vitamin B12. You can also quantify the amount of serum gastrin, syempre para alam mo kung meron pa bang nag-uutos kay parietal cell na mag-produce ng hydrochloric acid. Antibody assays kung merong mang anti-intrinsic factor or anti-parietal cell. And the holotranscobalamin assay, no, to detect the presence of vitamin B12, and stool analysis, no, lalo na kapag medyo malaki yung tiyan ni pasyente, kumakain sila ng mga hilaw na isda, no, ayan, baka may dilatum, no. For gastric analysis guys, literal na kukunin yung gastric acid, no. Ang pinaka-common na mga technique na ginagawa for gastric analysis is, una, papakainin mo na si pasyente ng steak. Literal na steak. Kasi yung mga steak na yan, yung mga baka guys, malakas magpalabas ng acid yan eh. No? And then after nila kumain ng steak, kukunin mo yung acid na na-produce to quantify kung marami ba yung acid or konti yung acid or wala talagang acid na na-produce. Or pwede rin yung tinatawag na shams feeding. When you say shams feeding guys, papanguyain mo lang si pasyente ng pagkain. And then after mo mapanguya ng pagkain si pasyente, yung mismong pagkain, idudura din ni pasyente. Tapos, saka mo ngayon kukunin yung acid sa mismong stomach ni pasyente. Pwede yun guys, no? Parang ang punto is that, sa tuwing kumakain kasi tayo, habang yung pagkain nasa bunganga pa lang natin, yung tiyan natin nagpuproduce na yan ng acid, no? Kaya nga kung mahilig kang mag-bubble gum, no, mahilig kang mag-yosi, yung mismong stomach guys, nagpo-produce na yan ng acid, no? Basically lahat ng activity na nangyayari sa bunganga, no, lahat ng takam na nangyayari sa bunganga guys, yung tiyan nyo magre-release na yan ng acid, ha? Okay. Ayan, to summarize the difference between folate deficiency and vitamin B12 deficiency. Syempre, ang pinaka-difference nila is the amount of the vitamins. Ano? Kasi halos magkapareho lang yan eh. In terms of hematological test. Magkakaiba na lang yan kapag mineasure mo yung both vitamins. And syempre, sa clinical presentation ni pasyente. No? Ayan. Summarization of non-megaloblastic to megaloblastic anemia. Okay? There is absence of hypersegmented neutrophil. Wala niyan si non-megaloblastic Bakit wala siya niyan? Wala namang problema sa DNA metabolism to ito may problema sa DNA metabolism. Okay? Ito guys, oval shape. Macro-ovalocyte. However, in non-megaloblastic, pabilog. Round shape. May presence ng megaloblast sa bone marrow. That's megaloblastic. And absent ang megaloblast in non-megaloblastic. So, that's your macrocytic anemia. Okay? Tomorrow, I will upload the lecture for normocytic and normochromic anemia. Okay? Okay.